My name is Lonnie Ray Atkinson, and this is another installment of Unsafe Words. Does anyone ever ask themselves, why in the fuck do we still have salespeople? Think about it. The existence of salespeople shows how obsolete our economic system is. And it's not that I don't believe we need any facilitation of the buying process. It's just that when I worked sales, I had the knowledge and skill that I could either help you decide whether or not buying my product was in your best interest, and if so, help facilitate your purchase process, or I could sell you shit. Anyone who's ever worked retail will tell you there is a difference, and one of those roads is the greater traveled. Of course, you don't have to work retail to know that you don't have to sell a motherfucker something they need. You don't even have to sell a motherfucker something they want. You have to sell a motherfucker something they don't want. And the only way to sell a motherfucker something they don't want is to convince them that they need it. I mean, just take a look around, or better yet, a look back at all the fashions and trends they had us believing were necessities. It isn't that long a trip down cringe-worthy lane before you realize that it's not just their garbage we're being sold, it's a particular definition of necessity. Because let's be real, necessities are the things you carry with you when you're fleeing your village. Seriously, you want to know what a necessity is? Just go ask a refugee. Which makes me think if we was refugees, our exodus would look like that scene in The Jerk where Steve Martin keeps adding on to all the stupid shit he's taken with him after he finds out he's ruined. So often what we consider to be necessities are not just non-necessities, they're what I call extreme non-necessities. And the only way you can end up with this amount of extreme non-necessities is if you have all manner of salespeople. Because as long as there are all manner of salespeople, the real money is in bullshit. For whether it's bullshit goods, bullshit services, bullshit policies, bullshit wars, or bullshit candidates, the value of that bullshit has to be sold. Think about it. A hungry child doesn't have to be convinced of the value of food. A thirsty person doesn't have to be persuaded as to the value of water. An oppressed person doesn't have to be sold the value of freedom. No matter whether it's pet rocks or patriotism, if it has to be sold, it's probably not the wisest use of our resources. And speaking of patriotism, in a system that sells its shit, it becomes our duty as grinning consumers to consume that shit, or else it actually hurts the economy. That's how fucked up and inefficient our system has become. For not only do we waste our natural resources for the purpose of consuming that waste, we waste our labor resources rationalizing a middleman-riddled transaction system that ensures they get more and you get less. From the Don Drapers and the skyscrapers to the millions of ethically reprogrammed fake smiles whose commissions and or jobs hinge on whether or not they can hit a corporate set quota for getting rid of the rest of last season's energy drink cozies. Just think about all the labor resources that go into salespeople in this antiquated world of sales when all we really need is to institute an easily accessible, non-biased review clearinghouse for all goods and services. I mean, does anyone ever think about that? I know when I think about whether or not there should be salespeople, I once again find myself shifting to the question, should there be economists? Because as soon as you start making these kinds of arguments, the economists start screaming, but what about the jobs? What about the jobs? If you get rid of all those jobs, what will happen to the economy? And that, y'all, is the answer to our initial question. That is why we still need salespeople, to sell us on the notion that we still need this out-of-date product, this antiquated concept that we all have to make a living. Our labor economy is not about efficiency or the greater good. It's about filling whatever role that is made available to you at the moment. Not necessarily in the service of bettering the world and or yourself, but necessarily for the purpose of, quote-unquote, making a living. What if instead of an economy where everyone is expected to, quote-unquote, make a living, we tried an economy where everyone is expected to make a contribution? Take the money saved from not producing extreme non-necessities and spend it on technological innovation that displaces unfulfilling labor, making room for us to make a contribution. Take the money saved from the salaries of the salespeople needed to justify those extreme non-necessities and spend that money on greater education and exploration of our talents and capacities, providing the potential for us to make a contribution. Of course, in that economy, the relentless pursuit of profit would no longer be the greatest commandment. Which makes me think, if we were to ever do away with this system, a system that commands and demands the maximum possible profit off of the selling of things we don't really need, I said, if we could ever find it in our imagination to come up with another way of doing things, a better way of doing things, then maybe, just maybe, mainstream economists also would be allowed to make a contribution rather than make a living. If you dig what I'm doing and you would like to help me keep on doing it, you got two options. You can share this video with others or click below the video to show me some love. Either one is greatly appreciated.